It's my top music 10 from 1975. Just to remind you, I was 21 years of age when these came out. And I have to say that I did have all of these in this particular year, other than ones that I acquired when I was a bit older. So let's get started, shall we? At number 10 is Daryl Hall and John Oates, the Silver Album. The mixing of Philadelphia soul with rock and roll was a grand mix, and with these two guys at the front delivering the vocals, it made for a tremendous piece of work. This is a strong album, some great singles on it. Nothing at All was one of my favorites, and the impeccable Sarah Smile. At number 9, Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow. Earlier Beck had been a little bit too rocky R&B, but once Blow by Blow arrived, we knew that Beck's ability to play guitar extended way beyond rock and roll. And here we saw his first indulgence with jazz rock and synthesized funk rock. It is an absolute masterpiece. Totally instrumental, of course, but he's got an absolutely tremendous band. Jan Hammer's on it, and tracks that I always want to listen to straight away. 'Cause We've Ended as Lovers, which is an instrumental version of a song written by Stevie Wonder for his wife Sarita Wright, and the infamous Diamond Dust, which closes the album. Get to listen to it. A genius at work. At number 8, Fleetwood Mac. This is the debut album by the Fleetwood Mac with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. And it was a very solid beginning. Of course, they latterly went on to record the mega hit Rumours, but you could see where they were going. There's the song Landslide on here, which is one of my all-time favourites sang by Nicks, and also Say You Love Me by Christine, and Rhiannon, a lovely rock tempo number where Buckingham shows us how capable he is, and Stevie sings like a gypsy. Okay, on to 7, we've got Horses by Patti Smith. This is also her debut album, and what a piece of work this is. This defined punk rock, which arrived a few years later. This is where it all came from. She was angry, she was nasty, and she would sing like her life depended on it. Great tracks, great band, tight rock music with no frills. Horses by Patti Smith. At number 6 is David Bowie, Young Americans. This David decided to go to America, and he decided he wanted to make a white soul record. So he got all the singers in, he got his horns in, and he delivered a peach. This is a terrific piece of work, very different from anything he'd ever done before, but I give it 5 stars. The title track, of course, was a big single, and I also like Win. At number 5, There's No Place Like America Today by Curtis Mayfield. I had listened to a little bit to Curtis before this album came along, but this one cemented him in my head, in my musical head, as one of the greatest soul singers of all time. And it's a very political album about racism in America, about how black people, African Americans, are deprived of so much opportunities, and it also has some absolutely beautiful love songs. Billy Jack is a strong song that I love, but the piece de resistance is so in love. When you listen to that, you just feel in love with the song. At number 4, Katie Lied by Steely Dan. This album had some really strong stuff, and although I wouldn't consider it as good as the first 3, slight drop, it's really nitpicking. Who can forget Black Friday, about the New York crash on the stock market, and Dr. Wu, an interesting song about an Asian doctor. And at number 3, Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan. This was huge for Bob. He found a new audience to add to his already fanatical folk followers, and he found me as well, which was quite a hard catch, as I was never really much of a Dylan fan. The standout, of course, is that awesome 9 minutes, Lily, Rosemary and the Jack of Hearts. What a great song. At number 2 is A Night at the Opera by Queen. After 3 very strong rock albums, they decided to go a few notches higher with this rock opera. And of course it has one of the greatest songs ever written in rock music, Bohemian Rhapsody, on this. Having said that, it's not just that track. Seaside Rendezvous I love, and in fact there's not a weak track on here. So all that means left is to announce the number 1, and I guess you probably guessed it already. It's Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Born to Run. Now, I first came across this album when a friend of mine bought it. We listened to it and I wasn't that impressed. However, I had a few extra shillings in my pocket, so I went down to the record store and I bought it. I then decided that I wanted to listen to it 2 or 3 times consecutively. The rest is history. This is one hell of a piece of record, and there isn't a duff track on it. So, favourite tracks, well, where do you start? I've got to say, I particularly love the 10th Avenue Freeze Out with Clarence Clemons and his sax, but the standout has always been Jungle Land, the finale, and I recall on many occasions putting it on and standing up and singing, accompanying Bruce as he takes us through this journey. One hell of a record, and I know you're going to tell me, what about that and what about this? Backstreets, She's the One, they're all there, aren't they? That's it.